That's the Ed Show. I'm Ed Schultz. Politics Nation with Reverend Al Sharpton starts right now. Good evening, Rev.
Good evening, Ed, and thanks to you for tuning in. Breaking news on that White House fence jumper who was the first person to ever make it inside the executive mansion. Tonight, we're learning just how far he made it. The Washington Post reporting Omar Gonzalez made it much farther into the building than previously known, overpowering one Secret Service officer and running through much of the main floor. After barreling past the guard immediately inside the door, Gonzalez, who was carrying a knife, dashed past the stairway leading a half flight up to the first family's living quarters. This is stunning information. Secret Service had previously said Gonzalez was stopped in the main entry. Now it appears he wasn't stopped until he got deep inside. According to the Post, here's what happened. This is the layout of the state floor of the White House. Gonzalez made it through the entrance hall, then into the 80-foot-long East Room, the same room where President Obama announced the killing of Osama bin Laden, before he reached the doorway to the Green Room, where, according to the Post, he finally was tackled by a counter-assault agent. Take a look at the ground he covered. The intruder didn't simply make it inside before he got tackled, and the Green Room where he was stopped overlooks the South Lawn, where President Obama and his family had been walking just minutes earlier as they departed the White House. How in the world did this happen? How did someone carrying a knife get deep inside what's supposed to be the safest home in America? Is the Secret Service doing everything it can to keep the president and his family safe? Joining me now from the White House is NBC senior White House correspondent Chris Jansing. Chris, what is your reaction to the White House, and what is the reaction in the White House to this report?
It is, as you said, stunning. The White House won't comment on these latest reports. Neither will the Secret Service. But this really is, Rev, a very different situation than we were led to believe. I was here that night. Now, we just talked to Congressman Elijah Cummings. He is the ranking member on the committee that's going to talk to the Secret Service director tomorrow. He says this should be a come-to-Jesus moment, a transformational moment. He says the Secret Service has not lived up to its reputation, and here's why. Let's go through what happened that night. After scaling the fence into what, as you said, is widely expected to be the most secure house in the country, Omar Gonzalez first ran 70 yards across the front lawn of the White House. We believed he had stopped there, just inside the front door. Now we know he got well into the building, confronting at least 2 agents along the way. How could this happen? Well, we now believe the reason dogs didn't stop Gonzalez when he sprinted across the lawn was because there were a lot of officers there, and there was concern the dogs might attack them instead. Originally, you'll remember, the Secret Service said the reason was because he appeared unarmed. And of course, we now know he was carrying that serrated blade knife. What about the front door? The Washington Post reports there's an alarm box near the front entrance that's supposed to alert guards of an intrusion, but apparently it had been going off a lot. And so it was on mute because it was bothering staffers. All of this, of course, happened just after the president, we saw those pictures, and his daughters and a friend got on Marine One for a weekend at Camp David. So these new revelations coming today following the weekend report about the shooting in 2011. 7 bullets struck the White House. It took agents 4 days to realize it even happened, and it was actually a housekeeper who found the evidence. So as I mentioned, members of the House Oversight Committee are scheduled to question Secret Service Director Julia Pearson tomorrow during a hearing. She wants at least part of that hearing to be closed. A decision on that hasn't been made. The president was last briefed by her this past Thursday. We have seen a few changes, including the double row of what looked like bicycle racks surrounding the existing fence. And we saw agents on the lawn just today apparently testing communications equipment, but no one, at least that we know of, has been relieved of duty. At the briefing today, I just want to say I asked the White House press secretary, should the American people have confidence that the president and his family are safe? And he says the president does, Rev.
Well, Chris, let me go back to the dogs. They're saying that the dogs they feared was going to attack agents, and that's why the dogs were not where they could have stopped, apprehended, or at least brought down this intruder?
I've seen this before when a previous intruder came over the fence, Rev, and it was happening just right behind me, and there were agents actually with guns drawn. But when the man was brought down, the dog was within, I would say, inches of his face. They are trained to run, to knock down a full-grown man with a single leap. And then if they need to, they will bite. They will hold that person down. So originally, the question was, why weren't they released? And they said he appeared unarmed. Same reason that apparently snipers chose not to take a shot. But now they're telling a different story altogether. Elijah Cummings says these are the kinds of questions that they want to get to the bottom of. And let me just make one more point that he said. He said one of the things that disturbs him so much about this, Rev, is that part of what keeps the president safe is the reputation of the Secret Service. People have come to believe if you try something, they'll stop you. And he's concerned about the message that this sends.
And they're saying he appeared to be unarmed. Chris Jansing at the White House, thank you for your time this evening. Let me bring in Jack Rice, a former CIA agent who spent time as a special agent in the Office of Security, and Jim Kavanaugh, MSNBC analyst and retired ATF analyst. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks, Reverend.
Jack, this man with a knife was deep inside the White House. What's your reaction?
Well, this is horrifying if you contemplate what the potential could have been here. Yes, everything turned out all right in a sense. I guess the positive is that you realize the procedures, the protocols that were in place, that should have been in place, were simply dismissed, ignored, or for whatever reason not there. But I think Chris's point is a really good one. One of the biggest concerns that we need to have now, besides all that, is this lack of credibility, the perception that the Secret Service is failing to do their job, because potentially what that does is encourage others to simply test just how good or how bad the Secret Service actually is.
Now, Jim, the Post reports that an alarm box was turned off. I want to go back to that. Quote, an alarm box near the front entrance of the White House designed to alert guards to an intruder had been muted at what officers believed was the request of the usher's office, said a Secret Service official who spoke on the condition of anonymity. How could something like this happen? I mean, does this appear to be a breach of protocol?
I think so, Reverend Al. You know, I've been on a lot of these Secret Service details. And one thing is you hear a lot of carping from people about the security. It's intrusive and it bothers them, and there's all kinds of reasons. And if this is true and the usher's office said that, I think that's a failure as well from the usher's office to even interfere at all with the security. But the atmosphere of the Secret Service down to every agent and uniformed division officer has to be that you're not going to compromise the security no matter who requests it, and the chain of command is going to back you up. So they've got to change the atmosphere. They've got to listen to their people. They had the female agent who was on the balcony in 2011. She said there were shots fired, and she was fearful to bring it up again. So the climate is not right. The atmosphere has to change, and Director Pearson, you know, has to be the one who change it, and she has to take responsibility tomorrow in front of the Congress for this lapse. This is outrageous. I agree with Jack. It's outrageous that a person could penetrate to the green room.
This is shocking. Outrageous is almost an understatement. Let me go back to you, Jack. The Post also reports that at least one Secret Service agent appeared to have been caught off guard. Quote, the female officer posted inside the front door appeared to be delayed in learning that the intruder, Omar Gonzalez, was about to burst through. Officers are trained that upon learning of an intruder on the ground, often through the alarm boxes posted around the property, they must immediately lock the front door. Now, does this suggest a widespread breakdown? I mean, shouldn't that agent have been alerted?
Without question. I mean, that's, again, one of the problems here. There are procedures that should be in place. And by the way, how is it the usher's office gets to determine security? I mean, at the end of the day, you need to have a director who clarifies what happens, and the chain of custody, all the chain of command, all the way up to the POTUS himself has to be able to say, we're going to back you up. It's not the usher's office. It's the Secret Service. They make the call. They apply all of the things that they have to apply. They didn't in this case, and that's clear.
You know, Jim, the president said after the Secret Service, this story first surfaced, certainly not with these details a couple of weeks ago, a few days after the breakout, listen to what the president said.
Secret Service does a great job.
I appreciate it, guys.
I'm
Moving
grateful
out the same
for the
door.
sacrifices they make on my behalf, on my family's behalf.
What needs to change in the Secret Service? What needs to be done, Jim?
Now, the atmosphere needs to change from the top down. You need to listen to all the people. The people that know the most about the security of the president are the 6,000 men and women of the Secret Service. They have to be listened to, and they have to be trusted, and they have to know that their commanders trust them. That's how you change the atmosphere. Look, what we're facing really is this worldwide terrorism issue, and all the vulnerabilities now are exposed. And when these terrorists want to launch an attack, it's not one guy who has mental issues. It's 3 or 4 attackers with submachine guns like killed Sadat, or hand grenade and submachine gun attack like killed Bhutto. These are the kind of attacks that would be launched by terrorist cells that are watching this every day. They're watching this minute by minute. They're media savvy. Yeah. I mean, this story's in the Manila Times today. But they've really got to tighten it up. The
president says, Jim, he has confidence in him. But how angry do you think he really must be? His family is there. This guy got right to the entrance of where the bottom of the steps where you go up to the living quarters of the residents at the White House.
Right, Reverend Al. Well, you know what the president's doing. He's a leader. He's backing his people. He knows what the Secret Service has gone through. And, in years, we can go down. They've had their people shot, protecting President Reagan. They've been hurt. They're killed in front of the Blair House with Harry Truman, the White House Uniform Division. So, they're very brave. He's backing them up. He needs to do that. But then the mistakes need to stop. The director needs to take a hit on the Hill tomorrow, take responsibility. It was on her watch with the fence jumper, and let's institute the plans to get this fixed.
But this is not just a little mistake. For example, Jack, the Washington Post is also reporting on a 2011 incident that Jan referred to, which it says the Secret Service fumbled. 7 gunshots struck the White House, 7 gunshots. But it took 4 days for the Secret Service to realize what had happened. The Post says the Secret Service response infuriated the president and the First Lady. Jack?
Well, Rev, that's one of our problems. Again, what we're not seeing is transparency here, at least within the organization itself. They're not responding. They're not being responsive in the way that they need to be. If they see a failure, they need to address it.
But 4 days,
if we're looking at the failures back during at the White House.
But 4 days, Jack, and you don't
Absolutely.
know 7 shots hit the White House. It takes someone in the White House staff to notice some glass before you realize that shots actually went into the White House?
Well, apparently it's the usher's office and the cleaning crew who's actually securing the White House now. I mean, what does that say?
That's my question to not only you, but I hope it is raised in a vociferous manner tomorrow at the hearing.
Me too, Rev. Me too.
I mean, Jim, words can't express how unbelievably outrageous this is.
Well, it is. And when the shots hit in 2011, Rev, they should have sent a dozen special agents who were off duty down in to sort it out. Come in from the suburbs and come in from home. It's an urgent thing. You got to respond now. That's why you're the Secret Service. Not only the people who are on duty, but you bring in more people. You bring in commanders. You got to be there. You got to be on the scene. You got to sort it through. You got to search. You got to listen to your people. You got to trust them. So they need to change the way they're thinking. They've changed over the years. I've been around them. I have a lot of friends. I have a great respect for the agency, but they've stumbled, they failed, and now they got to pick it up and do a better job.
Jack,
the director has a chance to do it.
Jack, let me ask you, let me go back to Congressman Cummings' point. We talk about this sense of alert around the world with terrorism. What does this do to the reputation of the Secret Service that might encourage all kinds of reaction if people feel you've got not one but two incidents that both got through to the White House. 7 bullets, 7 shots, and then a man with a knife actually getting on the grounds, running through the main floor? What does this say to the world?
Well, that's the scary part, Rev. In the end, it's not just about competency. It's about the perception of incompetency in this case. If you can't establish that if you step on White House grounds and you're not supposed to be there, you're going down in some fashion or another. If you can get into the White House, get across the main floor, get into the building, get very close to the family, what's not to encourage somebody else to try again, except for somebody who actually has competency, somebody who can run a real operation. And that's what we're afraid of. Frankly, that's what the Secret Service is afraid of. That's what POTUS should be afraid of. That's what we should all be afraid of.
Jack Rice and Jim Kavanaugh, thank you for your time tonight. Coming up,
Thank you, Al.
President Obama talks candidly on dealing with the ISIS crisis. So why is Senator John McCain criticizing him today? And breaking news from the Supreme Court today on voting in a critical swing state. Plus, we know George Clooney, the actor, and George Clooney, the activist. But now it's George Clooney, the husband. And it was a night to remember in Central Park. A concert to end poverty. 60,000 came out over the weekend, and hundreds of millions of lives were impacted. That's ahead. Please stay with us.